How do you actually deal with these idiots on a regular? You have to mercilessly beat them on their own turf with mockery. And here's a good one right here. Lefties are furious at an Indiana county councilman for announcing he's a lesbian woman of color to own the libs. Oh, look at his statement here. It's freaking hilarious. For immediate release, after much consideration, I've decided to come out and finally feel comfortable announcing my true, authentic self. It is with great relief that I announce to everyone that I identify as a woman, and not just any woman, but as a woman of color as well. I guess this would make me a gay and lesbian as well, since I'm attracted to women. Huh, that felt good to finally get that out there and start living life as my true self. I'm excited to bring some diversity to the county council.
I love it.
Until today, we didn't have any females of color or alphabet community on the council. I'm glad that now we do. To avoid confusion, everyone can continue to address me as Ryan or as Councilman Webb. I will also retain my preferred pronouns of he and him. However, this will in no way diminish my true identity as a woman of color. I'm excited to be a vocal partner of the alphabet movement. Who knows just how far we can take things, but I'm just glad that this is now possible so anyone can be anything or anyone they want. God bless America.
Abracadabra, bitches.
I love this. It has come to my attention that I am more than likely the very first lesbian woman of color in the history of Delaware County to ever serve on the Delaware County Council. I'm honored to be the one to shatter the glass ceiling. Hashtag girl power. If anyone has ever earned one of these,
that's the thug life. 100%.
Yes.
100%.
Woo!
Wow.
Ryan Webb, I bow to you.
Chef's kiss, baby.
This is beautiful.
Chef's kiss.
So that's one way. The other way, of course, is to continue the flawless track record of trans women in sports. Male powerlifter enters women's event and breaks record. Now, what makes this particularly interesting, especially in contrast with the second story that's very similar, this happened, I believe, in Canada. Bearded pro powerlifter entered a women's competition in Canada, smashed a record that was held by a trans lifter who was watching.
Nice.
Avi Silverberg, head coach for Team Canada Powerlifting for more than 10 years, entered Saturday's Heroes Classic tournament in Lethbridge, Alberta, after identifying as female. Video showed by athlete activist group the Independent Council on Women's Sports shows him walking up to the platform still fully bearded and wearing a regular men's singlet.
I like it.
He then casually bench pressed nearly 370 pounds, beating the current Alberta women's record by almost 100 pounds.
Yep.
That record was held by trans athlete Ann Andries, who was seen watching Silverberg while volunteering at the event. Andries also holds women's record for the deadlift at 544 pounds. Trans lifter won 8 of 9 competitions entered in the women's category over the last 4 years. And then this dude shows up and obliterates her record.
Look at that.
Just to prove a point. And then icons, he's mocking the discriminatory policy that allows competitors to register for events under their gender identity and expression, vowing no consequences for doing so. Well, guess who made that possible?
That's right. You made the rules. Don't get mad when people play by them.
Where?
370. I mean, when I was 23 or 24, my best bench press ever was 3 reps at 375.
Yeah.
I can go nowhere close to that today.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And I love this here. Here we go. Boop. New Zealand's strongest man enters women's weightlifting competition to protest transgender athletes.
Good.
So this is the same sort of deal here. New Zealand's strongest man entered to win the competition. A 52-year-old Dale Shepherd entered Global Powerlifting New Zealand Day of the Deadlifts as a woman to protest the competition's self-identification rules on gender. The event allows men to compete as females if they claim to be transgenders who identify as women. Shepherd has been weightlifting for roughly 4 decades and holds nearly 24 national records in the sport.
That's serious business, man.
Yep. So he's a big motherfucker.
Look at that
See him
shit.
there.
Woo.
And it literally, on the forum, he wrote, I identify as a woman for this contest.
Nice.
And that's it.
That's all you have to do?
Oh, beautiful.
Listen, I would love to see more men do this. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I woke up today and I literally feel like a female, so I want to compete.
Yep. And what's really cracking me up is that on one hand, you have him owning the transgender thing, and what really blows my mind is that this, for some reason, is seen as a mockery of people who have real gender dysphoria, right? Like, this is a mockery. Why? Because biological men are pretending and walking in and just obliterating records.
Yes. And who's to say they're pretending?
Yeah. But what's cracking me up is that they recognize this is a problem and a mockery. But, you know, we've got, I don't know how many different incidents of dudes, you know, just walking into women's restrooms and taking pictures of little girls. And that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Listen, whenever you have some shit like this, you're going to have people who are going to abuse the system.
Yep.
I mean, that's what happens.
If we could just recognize that this is not limited to sports and alphabet community, if you could stop pretending like any of this was an issue before you started involving kids, we could all find some common ground and maybe move on. I mean, actually, you know what? Fuck that. Let's go back to the way things were when you handled your shit behind closed doors and didn't expect society to play along just because you want to play dress up.
That's right.
Okay? This is your own private shit. Stop trying to make it public policy, and for the love of Christ, stop trying to shove it down our children's throats. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and listen, it's not going to go well when enough people get pissed off.
Nope. And people are most definitely getting pissed off. There's no doubt about that. You know what? We can actually end it on this particular note. Now, not everybody who watches this show is a religious person, and most of the time I don't like to take my my sermons from people who dress in T-shirts.
I got you.
But this particular individual, I think, hits the alphabet mafia right on the frickin' nose, and probably with a nail that could pierce your wrist, if you know what I mean. This is pretty dead nuts.
The gospel and the LGBTQ sex religion, they're the total opposite.
I like that he calls it a sex religion, because that's exactly what it's become.
Yep.
That's why this will be the biggest point of religious tension. It will be the biggest point of persecution to the church the next few years. We are so different. Whatever we believe, the LGBTQ sex religion believes the opposite. Whatever they believe, it's like we are the total opposite. But like we are so different. Catch this. So the LGBTQ is about self-expression. The gospel is about self-denial. Jesus said, if you want to follow me, you must deny yourself. Again, we are the opposite religions. Catch the next one.
Yeah, that's why I take some issue with people saying, well, all religion is man-made. Well,
No.
that's technically true. But why would man make a religion to deny one's basic urges? Now, when you look at, like, Muslim, Islam, they're all about, like, oh, yeah, go out, slaughter, murder,
Rape,
diddle
slave,
kids, all that other
destroy.
shit. Yeah.
Hey, but listen, I know the Quran has that in there. I've read the Quran like 2 or 3 times. But just like all the other like God books, there's a whole bunch of begetting, a whole bunch of murder, battles being fought, people being put to the sword for literally no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, like you look at the Torah. For the Jewish, it's pretty much the Old Testament.
Yep.
And that thing is littered with begetting and killing.
Yes.
So, all the good books, for the most part, are written by people who went off the rails to a certain extent. In the King James Bible, a pope and 2 kings decided what was going to go in that Bible and what was going to be left out.
That's why the NIV is probably the most complete version.
Yeah.
All right, we got about a minute left here. I'm taking pauses here because it is using music from Requiem for a Dream in the background. I want to make sure YouTube doesn't tag that.
Okay.
They worship sex. We worship God. They are man becoming God. We believe that God became man. See, that's why they celebrate pride. We celebrate humility. We are the opposite religion. Total opposite. total
He's
opposite.
totally right.
Yep.
So see, they believe that you're born this way. Jesus said you must be born again. They believe that I'm perfect just the way I am. The gospel is I'm a sinner. It's so different, and that's why if you try to be more loving, if you try to be more inclusive, if you try to be more diverse, if you try to water down the gospel, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because theologically, philosophically, in every single sense, we are the total opposite polarizing ideological framework.
All right.
He nailed it.
100%. I was actually, like, I'm doing the symbol thing. I was going to mention a lot of that stuff in there, too.
There you go.
I'll make my own.
You make your own.
And I ain't no preacher.
No, you ain't no preacher. And people are used to you wearing rugby shirts and T-shirts and being all Waldo and Blues Clues and shit.
I'm cool with it.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the meat caser box.